So today's focus is pretty straightforward. We're learning about how climate legislation gets advanced through the Massachusetts State House. We'll focus on a group of 7 proposed bills that we're calling the Mother's Agenda for a Livable Future. You'll be hearing today from 3 members of Mothers Out Front legislative team. That's Mary Lewis Pierce from Jamaica Plain, Sue Swanson from Bedford, and Andra Rose from Amherst. And first, Laura Davis will explain our breakout rooms.
Great. It looks like people are coming back. The rooms are closing, and it looks like we're all back. So I'm going to turn it back over to our fabulous presenters to get us started on our action today.
Welcome back. I am Mary Lewis Pierce from the legislative team in the Jamaica Plain chapter of Mothers Out Front. Thank you for joining us today for this important action. Can we see the slides again, please? Just a bit about what happens under that gold dome of the Massachusetts State House. Our state legislature runs on a 2-year cycle. So we are at the start of the 2021-2022 session when bills are being proposed. Our legislators' formal session usually runs January through July of the following year. But when there's a lot of work to be done, the session can be extended. The Mass State House has 2 chambers of 160 state representatives and 40 state senators. Next slide, please. Our legislators take on a variety of roles in the 2 sessions between laws being proposed and voted on. Legislatures can initiate the process by preparing and filing the proposed legislation, and of course, finding co-sponsors from among their colleagues. Depending on their committee assignments, the legislatures will be able to review bills and recommend that the proposal is brought to the floor for a vote. Next slide, please. The Mothers Out Front legislative team has identified 7 priority climate bills in the current session. We are calling this the Mother's Agenda for a Livable Future. And the focus includes 3 related areas: clean heat, clean air, and healthy soils. This is a collaboration between the legislation and regulations team, the Clean Heat, Clean Air campaign, and the Healthy Soil A Livable Future Action Group. The campaign goal is to generate many co-sponsors from your legislatures, those representing Mother Out Front constituents, and that is why we're asking for your help today. Okay, next slide, please. Let's begin with the clean heat bills. To achieve the Commonwealth's carbon emissions goals, we have to tackle the emissions related to buildings, our homes, schools, workplaces, businesses, all buildings. As Mothers Out Front, we want to make sure that this is done in a just and equitable way with full participation of the stakeholders. Next slide, please. Our first clean heat bill is named the Future of Heat, written by the Gas Leaks Allies members, including Mothers Out Front. It builds on last session's Future Act. This bill provides strategic incentives and financing mechanisms for gas companies to transition to renewable thermal infrastructure instead of investing in gas infrastructure. As more affluent customers move off gas, the same basic system costs must be shared by fewer customers, most of whom have fewer financial means. This bill mandates that customers will no longer pay fossil fuel infrastructure costs after 2050. Next slide, please. The second bill is the Local Option Electrification Bill. This bill would allow cities and towns to pass ordinances to require new buildings to be all electric and fossil fuel free if they so desire. It seeks to change the law that forced the Massachusetts Attorney General to prevent Brookline and other towns from enacting a local prohibition on new gas piping. Several other cities and towns have shown interest and are trying to pass similar ordinances. Next slide, please. The last clean heat bill is the Building Justice with Jobs Act. This bill is prioritized by Mass Renews Alliance. a coalition of labor, youth, environmental justice, and climate organizations that builds on the goals of the Green New Deal. It expands existing programs for energy efficiency to more proactively address low-income housing and to electrify heating. The goal is at least 1 million homes to receive electrification retrofits, with jobs offering fair wages and good benefits through collective bargaining. I'm now going to turn it over to Sue Swanson.
Thank you. I'm Sue Swanson from the Ledge team and the Bedford chapter of Mothers Out Front. Clean air is a basic human right, yet dirty energy facilities and other polluting industries are regularly sited in poor neighborhoods or near communities of color. This practice has resulted in decreasing the air quality while increasing risks of respiratory and other diseases, as COVID has made clear so recently. Environmental justice for communities like these is fundamental to our work at Mothers Out Front and is positioned front and center in this current campaign. The following two bills have been put forward by our allies on the Massachusetts Environmental Justice Table, which is led by the very frontline communities most impacted by air quality. Next slide, please. The Energy Facility Siting Reform Bill will make it much more difficult to locate dirty energy facilities and other polluting energy infrastructure in communities already overburdened with this pollution. If such a bill had been in place, neither the Weymouth compressor, nor the Springfield biomass plant, nor the East Boston electrical substation would have been approved. Next slide, please. These same environmental justice communities are often disproportionately exposed to pollution from vehicle emissions. The Act to Improve Air Quality mandates the identification through careful monitoring of at least 8 transportation pollution hotspots across the state. It begins to reduce the effects of this pollution by requiring the installation of air filters in nearby schools, group homes, and multifamily residences, and by maintaining similar new construction to be equipped with advanced air filtration systems. The bill also recognizes the health hazards of gas stoves and seeks to prevent new installations. Next slide, please. To actually reduce carbon levels, we must not only reduce our energy consumption and change the source of the energy we do consume, we must also capture and store or draw down the carbon already in the atmosphere. The Healthy Soil Livable Future Action Group has identified 2 bills as valuable steps toward equitably meeting this goal. Next slide, please. The focus of the Food Justice with Jobs Act is to increase access to healthy food and encourage healthy agricultural practices in order to draw down carbon levels in urban areas, improving not only their soil, but the air above it. Next slide, please. The Pesticide Protections for Children Act updates an old list of pesticide products identified as safe for use on the outdoor grounds of schools, child care centers, and school-age child care programs. Among others, it will ban the use of glyphosates or Roundup in these areas. And now I turn the program over to Andra Rose, who will introduce today's action.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here to take quick, easy, meaningful action with us today. I'm Andra Rose. I'm in Amherst, and I'm on the Massachusetts leadership team for Mothers Out Front, and I also co-coordinate the legislation and regulation team. So I'll be explaining the actions we'll be taking. There's 3 of them, and we're using a website to guide you. And here you can see the website. We're going to sort of step you through. You're going to first email your state rep and senator, and then you're going to call them, and then you're going to spread the word to friends and relatives in other districts. So when I'm done explaining, we'll give you the link to this form that will help guide you. So first, you put your email, your address in, and that makes your rep pop up first. You add your own information to the form, and then you personalize the message. And there's some tips under email tips for ideas for how to personalize it. Did you vote for the rep? You may know them. I'm very familiar with my reps, so I made the message much less formal, but there's a little space there, at least, add why you're concerned, what your personal connection to climate action is. And so you can customize the subject line as well. So you can also see on the left, there's bills, all the 7 bills that we just explained. And you could choose 1 or 2 that you want to emphasize, something that's close to your heart, another way to personalize it and say just a little bit about it. So remember to do a quick proofread before you say send, especially check your email so they can be in touch with you. And I also copied the message after I finished it so that I could then paste it in and write a very similar one for my senator, which is what will come up next when you hit send. So then you do the same thing on this page, and you will receive a copy of the email you send so that you know that it went through. Once you submit your senator's letter, it'll pop up with a screen to call. And we'll all be muted, so you can talk on your phone, and you've got your phone number there to call. You're very likely to be leaving a message. So that makes it a lot easier. And you don't have to follow the script here, but you could copy and paste it into your own document and write out, if you're more comfortable, what you're going to say exactly. But you can keep it very simple. Hi, I'm Andra. I'm your constituent. I sent you an email about Mothers Out Front's priority bills so that you have all that information. And then I would say, something about why I care and perhaps about the particular bill that I emphasized in my email. And then ask if they could email you back so that you know whether they're going to co-sponsor these bills, and thank them. So once you do that, please write in something, say if you left a message or if you actually talked to someone, and tell us how it went. And then when you say, I did it, you will land on the page for spreading the word. And you can multiply your action by getting a whole bunch of other people to do it. You might want to target 3 friends or family members who you just send this page URL to in an email. But at the bottom, there's also other ways to share it on social media. And we especially want to reach out to places in the state where there aren't a lot of climate activists, and maybe you can get someone to contact their rep or senator who doesn't hear a lot about climate. So we're hoping that you can finish all this in 15 minutes. And Kathleen's going to put the link to this website into the chat. And please click on the link, complete the emails, complete the phone calls, and then send the website link to friends. And if you have time, do the social media. So it's quick and we hope very straightforward. We'll be here to answer questions in chat. Thank you so much. I think it's back to Diane.
Yep, we're all just following that link that's in the chat, and we'll see you in about 15 minutes. Good luck with your emails, your phone calls, and if you have any technical issues, just put a question in the chat and someone will answer that. I think we're about at the end of our 15 minutes of action. Hope that I'm not disturbing anybody's phone calls. So congratulations on taking the actions. If you're finished with your emails and calls, that's great. If not, just leave those browser windows open, and you can finish them later. You'll also receive an email with all these links again. So we're going to take a few minutes to debrief this action together, and I'm going to turn it over to Laura again.
Andy, would you mind putting up the slides? Great, awesome. By the way, big shout out to Andy who's sharing our slides today. Thank you for all of that hard work. I know you were having some technical difficulties and you were so smooth through it. So thanks to all of the volunteers who were here behind the scenes today. We had a lot of people helping out to make this call possible. And finally, we have 3 really important events that we want to highlight for you guys. So first, I'm going to hand it over to Andra to tell us a little bit about this upcoming Watch and Act party next week.
All right, thank you. Yeah, this is a big day coming up on Tuesday, June 22nd, and you're all primed for it. So I hope that you'll register to come to the Watch and Act party. This is a solidarity action we're doing with the Environmental Justice Table and UU Mass Action and other allies. And it's going to start with a pep rally at 9:30. The sponsors of the air quality bill will be speaking with us, and EJ Table leaders will be speaking to rev us up to do tweeting and Facebook and emailing, because we cannot pack the room. It's virtual and they only let in people who are testifying, but we can pack their social media and their email with support for clean air for everyone. So please do, you can drop in. It's a long hearing, but on the half hour, we'll be introducing and the actions and going over the bill for people. Please join us anytime you can from 9:30 to 2 on Tuesday.
Great, thank you so much, Andra. So second, Kathleen's going to drop another link in the chat to RSVP for our next climate action call. As Diane mentioned earlier, these events are on the 3rd Thursday of every single month. Our next one will be on July 15th, again at 12 o'clock noon for 45 minutes. So we'd love for you to make this part of your monthly schedule, because activism and civic engagement is definitely like an exercise. We need to do it regularly to be strong. And last, welcome to all the newcomers, the folks who haven't been to an event in a while. If you're new to Mothers Out Front, or you're still trying to figure us out and figure out where you fit, we would love to welcome you to a welcome call. And Kathleen's going to drop, Kathleen has dropped that link in the chat for us, so you can also RSVP for that event. And then the very, very last thing, Kathleen's going to drop one more link in the chat, and I promise these are all going to go to you in a follow-up email. So if you don't catch them all right now, you haven't missed the opportunity. We would love to know what you think about these calls, these climate action calls. So we have a survey that we're collecting responses on. Did you love the breakout rooms? Did you hate them? We want to know. Yeah, so that's all of my announcements. I'm going to hand it back over to Diane to close us out.
Great, thanks. Many thanks to all of you for joining us today. It's really meaningful to take this climate action together, and it also makes it easier. And today we're really working to make our Commonwealth better and the whole world better. So I hope that our state legislators will understand our commitment to climate and will respond with support of these bills. Stay in touch. Let us know if you hear back from your legislators. And we hope to see you all again on July 15th. That's the third Thursday in July. And do watch your email for all these follow-up links. See you next month, I hope.